Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Bank of the Philippine Islands. Do more with BPI. Mabuhay teammates! Ito ang Basketball Universe at ako si Bill Velasco.
For every Mark Aguila, for every Jimmy Alapag, or even for every Michael Cortez, or for every me, there's thousands. I want to say thousands and thousands and thousands of kids that tried and can't get through. So it's a privilege to definitely be in the PBA, especially in my time. Ayun lang talaga yung pangarap namin. It's like, I mean, let's be honest. NBA was not one of my choices.
Okay. Ang bahaging ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Eastern Communications, Partners in Progress. Talakayin natin ngayon ang kwento ng basketball career ni Alex Cabagnot, isa sa pinakamahal na gwardiya mula sa Amerika na nakapaglaro sa PBA. Paano nga ba siya nagsimula?
How did you first get involved in basketball? Was it when you were a kid in California? What was it? How did you get into the game?
Well, my brother played. My cousins played. That's a staple in a Filipino family, especially if you have a lot of boy cousins and a lot of uncles. So basketball was definitely a staple. I didn't take it as seriously. I just went with the flow. I went with the flow as if my cousins were playing basketball, then I would just join them. And I think basketball became a part of our, growing up as well, like our social economics as well. Growing up in the States, parang lahat ng mga Filipino, everybody that I knew played basketball. So, you just hang out at the park and with your friends. And by the time I knew it, I was going around and playing basketball a little bit more seriously. But it was just something to do with my brother and my cousins, and I wanted to tag along lang.
When did you take it seriously?
I started taking basketball seriously. Like I got into this organization. It's called Hoop Town, and we were traveling around the greater Los Angeles area, and sometimes
Was that an AAU team?
That's an AAU team. Yes. And this was before the AAU teams. Now they have certain divisions, right? They have division, gold division, they have silver, they have before this goes to show my age. Yung ano namin dati. Yung ano namin yung mga AAU namin dati. Diretso ka na, gold division. Walang mga divisions. It's like if you have a AAU, you sign up for AAU and then they give you a card and then your team is allocated with the AAU. Meron mga tournaments yung mga AAU and then yung mga teams the AAU dati, I want to say it was only 15 to 20 teams. But that's all of Los Angeles. So like we would play against like Tyson Chandler. I played against Tyson Chandler growing up. Their team was definitely very good. Now these days, kids won't do that because the organization now is like the top EYBL and the Nike programs and all those stuff. They won't play like a organization, like a Filipino organization like that. Because hindi ka pwede pumasok sa mga tournaments basta-basta sa EYBL or stuff like that. But before, sakto, it was like, okay, there's 8 teams and we were one of the 8. We played one morning, we walked in. It was a 9 o'clock game, I remember. It was a 9 o'clock game and I saw the 7-footer. It was Tyson Chandler at 14 and under. And I was like, oh my gosh. And puro Filipino lang kami, mga Pinoy lang kami, obviously, mga predominantly Filipino. So parang ano gagawin namin dito? Magpe-press lang tayo. Ano gagawin natin dito? But yeah, that's when I started taking it seriously and stuff like that.
You went to Eagle Rock, right?
Yes, I went to Eagle Rock, sir.
Brought you to the Philippines from California.
My area, Eagle Rock and Glendale, Carson, the greater Los Angeles area, madaming pumupunta na sa Pilipinas. There was the Mike Cortez, he went to LaSalle, si Willie Wilson, and sila Dijon Lee, San Sebastian. Sila yung mga upper batch sa akin. So, mga 2 years ahead sila sa akin. Sila Denver Lopez, Kim Valenzuela, mga taga San Diego. So, nakikita ko na, like, wow, they're really... So, it wasn't like solely... I didn't reinvent the wheel, sir, like, by any means. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I just went along with it. Nakikita ko sila, I saw them, they would go to these tryouts and it's a funny story, sir. Yung coach namin dati, nagsisend ng mga Pinoy sa Pilipinas. Yung tatay ni Johnny Winston. si coach.
Okay.
That's how full circle it's come. That's how full circle it's come. So there were agents, sila Cheeky, rest in peace, Cheeky, Mark Agiwa. You know, he was my brother. My brother was a senior and 1 year apart lang sila. So parang nakikita ko na like, obviously I've always watched my brother play basketball sa mga varsity games nila. He was Halimaw before Halimaw. He was already good like in ninth, 10th grade, like everybody, all the Filipino teams would try to get him and then lalaban sila sa mga ibang ano. Like he was already a superstar in my mind. So like when I saw those guys do it, I just said, you know what, there's a blueprint already. There's a blueprint that I just need to follow. And hopefully, you know, I can make it. But sir, you know, for every Mark Aguila, for every Jimmy Alapag, or even for every Michael Chaz, for every me, there's thousands. I want to say thousands, thousands and thousands and thousands of kids that tried and can't get through. You know, so it's a privilege to definitely be in the PBA, especially in my time. Ayun lang talaga yung pangarap namin. It's like, I mean, let's be honest, NBA was not one of my choices.
Okay.
Let's be honest. So talagang, but for every person that got drafted before, there was, I want to say, 1,000 Filipino Americans that either wanted to get in, magaling sila, talagang magaling talaga sila. Pero I don't want to say politics, pero walang paperwork, wala yung,
Yeah.
kasi dati DOJ, malakas yung DOJ dati, di ba? Yung
Oh
mga,
yeah.
yung mga DOJ, yung mga migration, yung mga paperwork na gano'n, yung mga, siyempre naman yung mga, if you migrated for like 10 years, hindi naman nakalain ng mga parents mo na babalik ka dun, di ba? So yung mga paperwork nila din, ano na sila, na-petition na sila, hindi na sila Pilipino, tapos na-petition ka na din, mas nahihirapan yung proseso. Yeah, I just definitely, you know, followed and, you know, I was very blessed and definitely blessed to make it, you know, make it through with the cracks. Because there was a lot of players that I've seen, definitely more talented and more athletic than I was. Pero, you know, by the graces of God, nakapasok ako.
I heard that you broke Mark Kagiwa's scoring record at Eagle Rock. Is that true?
That is
And
true.
I heard that there might have been some beef between the two of you when you came over.
I wish I would have, like I said, like I was a, you know, when you get into like a big industry like this, you forget that you're starting from the very, very bottom, right? Like very bottom. Assistant to the mill, boy. Assistant to that's how far. And you know, obviously when I came in, he already had 2 championships. There's no comparison by any means. When I did get here, I guess that was one of the ways that they could market me that I beat Mark
Okay.
Aguila's record. That was one of the ways. Kasi back then there was no social media, maybe
Yeah, oh,
Friendster,
yeah.
pero walang mga social media, so it was gonna go off hearsay. But it was true though. I did beat his record, but I did play 4 years of varsity. You know, I have to give him his grace. He only played 2, so he accumulated all those points in 2 years, and I had to beat it in 3.5, 4 years. So talagang it was definitely a. And our games, as you know, sir, our games are totally different. You know, Mark is a flat out just scorer. I'm more of like a facilitator, if anything. Like scoring would be like a second option for me. It kind of didn't make sense when people saw it. They were like,
Yeah.
paano niya na-beat to? Hindi naman siya
Yeah,
score.
yeah.
Kasi pagdating ni Mark sa PBA, talagang mga 13 points na siya, 15 points na siya, 20, 20, 20. So parang it doesn't make sense. But you know, when you're at that bottom of the totem pole, it's hard to explain and get a platform and be like, no,
Mhm.
I beat it in 4 years. So I
Yeah,
beat it in
that's
4
why I'm
years.
asking. Clear the air on that issue.
Clear the air. But Mark, I'm gonna send this to Mark. I did beat the records.
It just took twice as long.
It just took twice as long. Yeah, it just took
There's
twice
an
as long.
asterisk there.
Yeah, exactly.
But tell me some of your favorite memories with San Miguel.
There's too much. Miracle is definitely one. I remember my first championship. We were still under San Miguel franchise, but we were with Petron. So my first championship in 2011 when we were depleted. And actually, funny story, Kuya Danny
Yeah.
hit the game-winning shot in the first game. So we had an import named Anthony Grundy. He passed away, rest in peace. And we were just an underdog team, and we beat a very loaded Talk. They had Jimmy, they had Jason, Ranadell, Ryan, Jared, just a very talented Larry Funisher, one of my batchmates in the PBA. So they were very talented, and I guess one of those games, and we stopped them from becoming a Grand Slam.
Ouch.
They're they're fighting for Grand Slam, so we were, Joseph Yo, I remember, was injured. We had Denok played really well. It was me, Denok playing together with Arwin and Danny I, and the rest was history. We won in Game 7, to be exact. So that's one. The Miracle, winning five all Filipinos in a row. That was definitely another one. And other than the accolades, more like yung samahan namin. And then we have conversations between ourselves, even if it's amongst a lot of people. It's just, we go back to just, little intricacies of our relationships. But definitely a lot of great memories with them.
If I remember correctly, you had like 4 players in the mythical team or something like that.
Yeah, at one time we had 4. Kulang na lang maging 5. But yeah, we had one of those. We had one of those. We had, any team that has, Juma Fajardo is definitely great. 8-time MVP, he's definitely great. I consider myself a role player. I just played my role in that organization, and whatever. I actually knew what they wanted from me since I've been with them since 2009, right? So, alam ko yung pumasok ako doon, na-establish na yung role ko kagad. Kasi si Olsen nandun pa, Danny I nandun pa, si Dorian nandun pa, DS was still there. So, yung pagpasok ko talaga doon, 2009, I was like, all right, cool. Okay, this is how I'm going to contribute. I'm going to get these guys the ball. I'm going to get these guys the ball as much as possible. And lo and behold, if I get open, I have to make a basket, So I have to compliment like all-star legends themselves. So when the new guys came in, the new batch came in from kami lang holdovers, si Arwin and me from the
Yeah.
2011 championship. Kami lang yung holdovers. Pagdating nila, like si Arwin, he was coming into age. I don't think people understood. Arwin played the 3.
Yeah.
Arwin played the 3. He only played the 4 because we had some injuries, and nanalo kami ng championship. And from then on, nanalo kami ng championship. Dire-diretso na siya sa 4. But before, Arwin used to play the wing. When we got there 2009, he was in the wing. In the wing with Lordy Togade, because we got 4 and 5. Once we won the 2011 championship, it cemented him to the number 4 guy. And then we had the Chris Lutz, then we had Marcio come in, and then Chris Ross. Since I already knew how to play my role from the guys before, and Junmar came in. Hindi ko na-exert yung sarili ko na ako yung pinakamatanda dito. I'm gonna get the most shots. I never exerted that. I just was like, these guys are talented too. I respected their game from the get-go, from the word go, So when Marcio came in, I was like, wow, this guy's an ultimate talent. Chris Lutz, before his hip injury, he was dominant for us. Like very dominant for us. So having those 2 guys in the wing, and Junmar and Arwin, and then the acquisition of Chris Ross. I don't think people like the relationship of Chris Ross and I have. I don't think it's talked about more, but we had to coexist because Chris Ross is a point guard.
Yeah.
And I'm a point guard. So we had to actually like allocate, and we had to more so, a campaign to be on the court together. Obviously, you got very smart coaches, but they finally figured out that, with 2 of these guys on the same on the court, having 2 point guards on the court with shooters and a big dominant guy will work out. And instead of splitting time, we did exactly what me and Denok did in the finals in 2011. We actually played together. I guess some teams, they feel like yung mga 2 guards magpoposte. Pero yung mga ganun game, wala nang ganun, sir. Kasi now, the game now, wala nang ganun game kasi wala nang illegal defense eh. Wala nang illegal defense. Hindi na pwede yung malaki akong 2 guard tapos magpoposte lang ako tapos may illegal defense. Walang help. Kailangan mag-help niya. May mga pwede na mag-sag down. So, it wasn't, and Chris Ross is 6'4". He's 16 and a half. So he's a big guy. So nobody's posting him up. So he could guard the best guy, and then Marcio and Arwin. And we had guys that could defend. So it's not talked about enough that when Chris Ross and they finally had, sometimes it's difficult to go against the grain of what you know. It's just very difficult. So we had to campaign, and we had to, obviously, being in the industry long enough, you could word things differently and you could go about things differently that it comes out in a positive way. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that Chris Ross and I were old enough to know how to speak and to know how to navigate and to know how to tread in those murky waters well enough so we could be both on the court together.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Bank of the Philippine Islands. Do more with BPI. Waterproofing o sealant ba ang hanap mo? Sa German technology na Sista, protektado ka ng 10 taon. Yan ang tapal na tataga. Ang bahaging ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Smart Sports. Ngayon naman pag-usapan natin yung medyo masakit pero bahagi ng buhay ng paglilipat ng team. Paano na nga ba naging madali para kay Alex ang paglipat mula sa San Miguel Beer?
What did they tell you when you left San Miguel?
They called me in the office and they just told me like, hey, we're going a different direction. It wasn't my first time being traded. I was actually traded a few times already. Santa Lucia to Coke, Coke to Burger King to San Miguel. And then I went to Northport and went back to San Miguel. So at this point in time, as you know, like, you kind of know the industry. You kind of know the industry. You kind of know how to like tread water, right? You kind of know where to go. It's not uncharted anymore. So when they said that to me, I gave them a big hug. I told them like, oh, I'm just so appreciative. I'm just so appreciative. And I think Boss Robert and Boss G and Coach Leo and all the coaching staff, they know that.
Ang bahaging ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Nickel Asia Corporation. At yan ang Basketball Universe para sa araw na ito. Abangan kami mula Lunes, Miyerkules at Biyernes. Linggo-linggo po yan sa YouTube at Facebook. Kaya LSS, like, share, subscribe at follow na rin. Nais namin pasalamatan ng aming mga sponsors. Bank of the Philippine Islands, Eastern Communications, Sista, Smart Sports, Eurotex, at Nickel Asia Corporation. Laging tandaan, saan man kayo at anuman ang ginagawa ninyo, magkakampi tayo. Ako si Bill Velasco at ito ang Basketball Universe.